Testing, 1, 2, 3. Can you guys hear me okay? Hello. Welcome to the stream. Thank you, Dog Lover, for letting me know. I didn't pull myself up. And I figured I could just ask. That would go much easier. Anyways, so I figure we'll go ahead and we'll just let this sit. I'll keep you guys company. If you guys want to ask me anything, whatever you want to talk about, just give it like another 9 minutes. See if anybody wants to file in. That way nobody misses the beginning of the story that we're going to get in.
L.W.Suton.
Hello, Warrior Princess Dragon. How are you?
Hola.
Also, hello, Dog Lover. Hello, Twisted Skipster. Welcome. Thank you for joining me this Friday evening.
Hello, every human being that is in the chat right now. I should say hello, chat.
The child says hello.
I say hello, chat.
Cool. Glad you can hear me all right. Like I said, didn't do any mic tests or anything like that, so it happens. Go ahead and throw this up here. Not like that. Aha, perfect. No, not like that. I still want to see the chat. Dog Lover says hello to the shy.
I say hello back.
Good to know.
What's good to know?
It's good to know it's hello back.
Yeah. It's the equivalent to like being left unread, except in real life.
Shiloh watched Kill Bill today for the fact.
I watched someone attempt to kill Bill. Actually, it didn't happen yet. No. They killed 2 people, but their name was not Bill.
I'm sorry that you're hurting, cutie.
Oh yes, I'm sorry.
But I'm glad that you're here now, and I hope you feel better. Oh, the first one. She saw Kill Bill Volume 1. She hasn't seen Volume. I watched it. She went in her room and played with her Switch. She said she'd watch it some other time. Actually, she went outside first, then she came home.
I went outside and got my vitamin sun.
Vitamin sun.
And then I went on my Switch and got my vitamin screen.
Vitamin screen, yeah. But she actually really liked the first one. She sat there and she really did. She watched the whole thing. So I'm confident that she'll enjoy the conclusion. Love Kill Bill. Just saying.
She loves to kill Bill.
Those I don't. You could say those movies, but I mean, realistically, it's one big movie. So I mean, that movie is awesome.
That's Merry Christmas in Spanish.
Vitamin screen, yes.
Yeah.
Vitamin sun and vitamin screen.
The only things this child needs: vitamin sun, and vitamin euphoria.
Nice tea.
Lights Out. I don't think I've heard of Lights Out. I have to check that out.
Going to bed.
I mean, it's possibly. I've seen so many movies that I don't remember all of them. I remember most, so I'm confident I haven't seen it. I haven't even checked the weather. I hope it's going to be good fishing on Sunday this week. And I hope you guys are enjoying all the Locust Lakes. New Locust Lake every other week. What?
Speaking of Locust Lake, aren't we going to Locust Lake soon?
Yeah, 4th of July weekend.
4th of July.
So not this weekend, but
Casper the Bubble Man, Casper
the Bubble Man,
and fireworks.
Oh, that's awesome. 8 years old and a horror nut. See, it's good. You're doing something right.
Yes.
Good job. Hats off, man. Respect. Those are really cool names for your dogs. Cassiope, Cerberus is your pit bull. That's great. Sasha, Penny, and Rosebud. Huh. Very nice names. I like Cerberus. It's great.
Sounds like a video game character. Like
No,
shooting
it's
Genshin
the dog
character.
of hell. It's the three-headed dog of hell.
Well,
The Cerberus. It guards.
well, I didn't know that.
The
I don't remember.
gates to Hades.
Okay. I'm being attacked from both sides about the dogs.
Cerberus. It's one dog, three
One
heads.
dog.
The dog
Three
with
heads.
the heads dog. The dog with heads. Not arms. Heads. I've been poked.
You have been. 4 more minutes and we'll officially kick this thing off. Just give a few more minutes, see if anybody else files in. I know some people do, right on the mark. It says 9:30 on the thumbnail, and some people they're very prompt and punctual.
You were exactly 2 seconds late.
I probably was.
Therefore, you don't get a like on this video from that person.
Okay.
Because it definitely does something.
Okay. I'm totally cool with that. Not here for the likes.
I know.
I'm here to tell some stories.
And that's what you do.
It is what I
You
do.
speak the story.
I don't speak the truth. I speak the story.
Yeah.
I speak the fiction.
Not the nonfiction.
I do some nonfiction. Very, 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 very rarely.
Yeah. What nonfictions is it gonna be?
But there's always a little truth in
The
everything.
Bible?
I mean, you're right what you know. So there's usually a little something of myself in every story.
Well, obviously.
Either the environment, you know, I guess you could say it's probably why so many of my stories take place in the woods, because the woods is something I know very well. You know, houses, descriptions of certain places, people. People is a big one. Use a lot of real people in the stories I write. I've killed a lot of people I know.
So much murder.
Hey, Fuzzy. How's it going, man? Welcome. Happy
Hola.
Friday.
Friday the Happy.
Yes, there is always a grain of truth in fiction. Absolutely. I mean, even some of the stories I've written, like Sweet Tea, about the lady that accidentally drinks oven cleaner.
Accidentally drinks oven cleaner. You know, just a normal Tuesday for Meredith.
That's
Just drinking oven cleaner.
that's based on a true story. It's based on a news event. Now, in real life, the lady didn't die. She had to go to the hospital. Severely burned her esophagus and stuff. How did it happen? The guy that was adding sugar to the soda machines, there was an iced tea machine.
Yeah.
And instead of adding sugar to it, he accidentally added oven cleaner.
She should sue
because
him.
it's white powder.
She should sue him.
I don't know if they ever sued or not. But anyways, it's based on a true thing. Now, it's not all true. It's not how the story played out or exactly how it happened. Obviously, you changed some details because it is a story. But write what you know. So that's the idea.
You should make
I'm glad you're feeling so well, Fuzzy.
You should make a story based on the jawless dude.
And that's awesome, dog lover. Glad you're going camping soon.
Oh,
Me too.
No.
4th of July weekend.
Camping's great.
Pretty soon we're seconds away. Picked up a whole bunch of rock stars. Well, not a whole bunch. I picked up 2.
That's a lot.
Well, you
Too
know,
much.
I usually drink Red Bulls. Red Bulls have have 80 milligrams of caffeine in them. Rock stars have 160.
I figured it out.
So.
The reason why Red Bull gives you wings is because they kill you.
ISB. Happy Friday, man. Welcome.
Happy Day of the Fries. Oh, France. France fries.
France fries.
France fries. Fries from France. Not Florida. That's not okay.
Okay. There we go. Welcome, everybody, to the stream. Happy Friday.
Happy day, friends.
Nose itches. It always sucks having to put on the mask. And then something on your face
Yeah.
itches. It's not a good time.
So hashtag relatable.
Monsters are good, but I crash a little bit too hard off those. I don't know if it's the sugar content or something, but there's something about monsters that don't agree with me all the time. Love Red Bull, so I don't usually drink Rockstar, but I felt the need for a little extra caffeine today.
It's a sleepy day.
Well, it's not really a sleepy day, but yeah, it's been a long day. Went to work today. Also did my narrating like I usually do before the live stream. But last week I had With the Tidbits and Tender Flesh, which is coming very soon. The sequel to Soft Flesh and Supple Flesh. It's a relatively short story, so I had like a total of 7 pages to read. This week I had a total of 25. So I read 25 pages of story before the stream, and then this one's not super short either. Not real long. Do a word count here. 3,166. So not the longest story in the world by any means. But
it's a story.
It's not like a 1,500 or 2,000 word story like I usually read on streams. Probably a little bit closer to the length of maybe the Top Hat, which is probably one of the longest readings I've done on this channel. So this is from her tie-dye shirt is from her graduation.
I graduated.
Because she graduated out of elementary school. She's going into the middle school next year. So she survived and pushed through COVID. So
the COVID.
Through the pandemic. Sorry. Oh, thank you very much. It's a Locust Lake hat, actually. It's let me see if I can. Casper. So it's the Locust Lake beanie. They're available on my store. I think they're like $20, something like that. But yeah, it looks really good. It matches the hoodie, so I would be wearing the hoodie. But it's summertime, and it's not warm in here, but it's not super cold either. And my channel shirt is in the washing machine at the moment, so kind of sporting some Super Mario Brothers. It's also a huge love of mine. Thank you very much, ISB. I absolutely love this thing. It's a really thin material, so it's stretchy, but it's not like wool. So you can wear it in the summertime. It's like a spring and summer beanie. I like this. It's awesome. It's wicked comfortable. Like the hoodie. Like I said, the hoodie is not just because it's Locust Lake hoodie, but it's literally the most comfortable hoodie I own. So I absolutely love the hoodie, and then they both go together really well. Hey, Jose Medina, how are you? Happy Friday. Yes, it is the Friday Scare edition. It is the once a month live reading. Obviously, I live stream now every Sunday with my wife and my daughter doing Blood and Beans. But I always do a live reading once a month as well. Like I said, this one's a little bit longer than my usual live reading, so I'm bound to mess up a little bit more. Plus, I just narrated like 25 pages of story, so that's had an effect on my voice a little bit as well. And I also wrote this story. Keep in mind, obviously, the smiling dog, I'm sure you've noticed, is an awful lot like smiledog.jpg.jpg. That's because it's based on that. So the reason why that happens, why that is same thing as like why I've written like a Slenderman story or a few Disney stories and stuff like that. Is when I started my old channel, when I first started out, one of the things I wanted to do alongside writing all the ideas I had was see if I could come up with a new story for all these really super popular creepypasta characters. So Smile Dog was one of them, and this is a story that I wrote way back when. So it's one of the first stories I've written. So just keep in mind, keep that in the back of your mind as well. I did go through and read it today, fix the grammar, fix any spelling and stuff like that. So I just wanted to go ahead and just put that out there. There might be some mess ups where I have to restart or something like that, or maybe stop and take a drink off my Rockstar. And it is one of the earlier stories by myself, but it's good. I enjoy it. I explained the premise to Shiloh, and she seemed pretty happy with it. So she said big brain.
I
So
said big brain.
big brain is
Brain is
usually
the
a
biggest.
good sign that she likes
It
it.
is
So
Pog and big brain.
so gives me a little extra confidence.
Usually good.
All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and click off of this. I'm gonna hit my vape a couple of times, and then we'll go ahead. I'll answer any questions, stuff like that go into the live chat, and then we'll go ahead and we'll kick into this story.
Hey. Casually covers camera with sock.
It's my camera sleeve.
It's a sock. I hate to just tell you all, but it's not a camera sleeve.
It's a sock.
It's a sock.
But it's also a camera sleeve.
It's a sock.
Right now, it is a camera sleeve. My pop filter is a sock. Listen, socks can be used in all sorts of purposes here. It's very true.
You can make sock monkeys.
You
Okay.
can make socks.
write a sequel to Candle Cove. I mean, that would be really cool. I don't know if I'd even be allowed to, though, especially since that was on Channel Zero.
Yeah.
That might be really heavy copyright infringement. I don't know if they probably wouldn't mind a fanfic, but maybe on a monetized YouTube channel that might not be. I don't know. That's a possibility.
Get written permission.
Getting a hold of some of these people that have written some of these really big stories is they're some of one of these people, the person that wrote No End House, he's a television director. So or something like that. I looked him up. He has an IMDb page or DB or whatever it is. I know it's the energy drink, kind of getting ahead of myself. But yeah, basically I can contact his agent. But I don't. That's so. I'd like to read No End House, but I just don't know if that'll ever happen. I did actually get a hold of Dathan Orbach, the guy that wrote Pen Pal. Not gonna lie, I think I've mentioned this before, but yeah, kind of fangirled a little bit. It's oh my god, this is awesome! I absolutely love Pen Pal, and I did get permission from him. So there is always a possibility. But yeah, writing a sequel to Candle Cove, that would be kind of cool. That'd be fun.
I said that you did a sequel after it ended. I was like, what?
So, all right, I'm gonna go ahead and pull up this document here and get myself ready. Like I said, I'll hit my vape here a couple of times.
Yeah, I'm gonna go back to a blanket.
The child is gonna get
we're
ready
gonna
to
open a PDF. Who's
to
ready for
sit
that?
and be get ready for story time.
Grab the snacks, the popcorn, and the soda.
All right. I think I've delayed the inevitable for as long as I can. Sorry, it's always a little nerve-wracking doing a live reading because I know when I read a story like this, when I'm narrating in the back and I'm trying to do all the acting and stuff for it, I have to stop between 30 and 80 times, depending on the length of the story. So it's oh my God, am I going to mess up 30 times? And that's just always in the back of my mind. For some reason, I seem to not mess up quite as much when I live read. I don't know if it's because I focus a little bit more or if it's I don't focus as much on voice acting as I do reading. I do try to convey as much of that as I can, but I want to make sure I'm not messing up every 2 seconds. So. Just go ahead and start rewriting people's books. Yeah, no. I'm going to try and keep it as original as I can. Even like I said, writing a Slender Man or a Smile Dog story, I do try to put a new spin on it and try and make it interesting. Not just the same old story, the rehash. some of these things I've listened to on people's channels, and it's like, man, this is great. I love this story. I love this mythology. I love this specific series, this mythos, and that's it. And there's no more. It's like, well, I got ideas, so I'll write one, and that's how these happen. So, all right, it's a big breath here. Like I said, kind of a little bit of a large story. 5 pages of reading here. So without further ado, I call this one The Smiling Dog. I had no idea where I was or what it was doing there. All I knew is that I found myself at the end of a long, bland hallway with multiple doors on either side. A pale yellow-covered smooth walls, and a floor that was covered with a plush, dirty gray carpet. Oddly enough, the carpet seemed to be the only thing that really stood out, as the rest of the corridor seemed to be in pristine condition. There were no noises to be heard, no distinctive smells to be detected. It appeared as though I was utterly alone. I began to walk down the length of hall, checking the knobs of each door as I passed. Each and every door that I attempted to open was locked. As I approached the end of the hall, I recognized the sign at the end as one that indicated a stairwell. I reached out with my right hand and turned the knob. It was unlocked. I turned the handle and pushed open the door, and as I did, every last light in the space blinked out. I turned to gaze upon the corridor behind me, and when I did, I was greeted with a blackness so thick I couldn't even make out the carpet at my feet. I began to ponder turning around and taking the stairs, when candles that I hadn't seen there before, they hadn't been there before, appeared hanging on opposite sides of the wall, combusting into life in pairs until they lined the length of the hallway. The interior was beginning to look less pristine and inviting and more like a tomb. Nothing was making any sense. I quickly found that I didn't really care about logic at the moment, as 2 glowing red eyes could be seen in the darkness at the other end of the hall from where I had come from. I backed through the open doorway behind me as the unseen beast began to let out a deep, menacing growl. The thing leaped into the darkness and into the candlelight to charge straight for me. I nearly fell over when I turned to shut the door that I had just passed through, slamming it tight and hoping that the thing didn't know how to work a doorknob. What the hell was that thing? It resembled a dog, but there was definitely something wrong with it. My lingering thoughts on the monster didn't last, as my fight or flight response quickly surfaced when something slammed into the other side of the door. I felt around in the darkness that encompassed me, and when I had found the railing, I was presented with 2 choices: up or down. The banging on the door signified that likely didn't have a lot of time to think about it, so I proceeded down the stairwell as fast as I could in the dark. After turning the corner and clattering down the second half of the flight, I made contact with the landing of the floor below, and when I did, the banging on the door above me stopped. I hadn't heard the door slam to an open position or heard anything running down the stairs, so I figured that the thing likely gave up. Searching the wall below the door above me, I found the subsequent door before me. I checked the handle, and once again, it was unlocked. I turned and pulled on the handle. As soon as the seam of light had begun to peek through the seam around it, a force like none other I had ever felt pushed the door open so hard I was knocked backward into the railing behind me, onto the floor in a sitting position, with the door now open wide, I analyzed what resided beyond the doorway. A deep, crimson glow was all that could be detected around the monstrous figure, like an aura that underscored its malice. It was the creature that I'd only seen in... Excuse me. It is the creature I had seen and only heard moments before, but somehow it appeared on the floor below. I found myself unable to move as the creature approached, its details becoming more vivid. It took a while to look past the impossible, human-like grin and red, glowing eyes to realize that it appeared to be some kind of dog with husky-like markings. Its ears were straight back, eyes stared seemingly into my soul as it approached the doorway, a terrifying snarl coming from behind its teeth of of its impossibly wide human smile. The glow of the light tinted the white patches of fur to that of a color that resembled blood. Its front paws stepped in between my paralyzed legs as it leaned in close, its smile only inches from my face. Its breath was wicked, like corpses soaking in raw sewage. I cringed from the wretched smell as it spoke to me. The thing told me that I was to tell people of its existence. It warned me that if I refused, it would devour my mind. I writhed in fear, trying to break free from paralysis, terrified of those glowing red eyes that seemed to burn away at my very being. I let out a scream and woke up. I was delighted to land eyes on the far end of my studio apartment. I had flung myself to a sitting position, covered in sweat. The dim light of a dark gray sky morning leaked between the curtains behind me. Paintings of branchy winter trees and blood-spattered faces graced the wall on the opposite side of the open space nearest the couch. I should likely introduce myself. My name is Alexander, and I'm an artist. What an odd dream, I thought to myself. Although I knew that it had to be nothing more than a mere nightmare, I was compelled to paint what I had envisioned. Most of my work is quite dark, and I draw a lot of my inspiration from my dreams, so I didn't think much of undertaking such a project. I got out of bed and put on an old pair of sweats and a t-shirt. Turning on the radio in the center of my work table to the on position, I rubbed my eyes and began working on my newest creation while the images were still fresh in my mind. Mixing reds with blacks, swiping my brush in signature movements, I was beginning to sweat, which was kind of odd considering the morning chill that pervaded the exterior walls. I smeared paint across my forehead when I wiped my brow, but I couldn't stop, not even for a second. I couldn't stop until I heard my phone ring, that is, breaking me free from my momentum. With hesitation and stopping my brush on the table, With hesitation and placing my brush on the table adjacent to the canvas, I wiped my hands on the paint-spattered cloth and walked over to the phone, picking it up and placing it to my ear, still wiping away the last remnants of paint from my hands. I instantly recognized the voice on the other end as my girlfriend, Rebecca. Time must have gotten away from me because she was calling me to tell me that she had been waiting for me to show up for nearly 30 minutes and was wondering where I was. I had agreed to meet her at the little coffee shop down the street early this morning, the same as I did every Saturday. I honestly didn't feel like leaving at the moment. I wanted to finish what I had started, but promise is a promise, so I assured her that I'd be there in a few minutes. Scrubbing my hands and face clean of paint, I traded my sweats for an old pair of jeans and added a sweatshirt over my top. Hat, shoes, wallet, and keys later, I was walking out the door and headed towards the cafe. The walk was mostly enjoyable, the sky having given way to sun. The little place was only about a block and a half away, so I did my best to enjoy my double-timed walk. I probably should have been in a rush to get to my destination, but in reality, I was more in a hurry to get back to my home and to my work. A stranger approached me on the sidewalk, and as we passed each other, He shot me the angriest of glares, staring right into my eyes with a burning hatred. Was wondering what I had done to offend the man when a woman passed me on the other side, making a beeline for the bus stop. Her stride was unresolved in its trajectory, but her face turned to that of an angry grimace, full of distaste and repulsion. What the hell? Passive aggression, but I found that I was in too much of a hurry to complete the task that I had agreed upon. I approached the establishment, which seemed unusually slow for a Saturday morning. When I opened the glass front door, I noticed Becky sitting right there in the corner booth to the left. I hastily rushed to sit down across from her. After asking me what the hell had taken me so long, I told her about the dream that I had had the night before. I had told her about my compulsion to complete the piece that I was currently working on. It was hard to explain, but I began to feel a little bit better. Anxiety started to wash away. The waitress approached us to take our orders. Becky ordered some kind of breakfast. Becky ordered some kind of breakfast wrap, while I ordered a simple coffee. The waitress shot me a glare, like she was going to bite my head off, before walking away to place our orders with the chef. "Did you see that?" I asked Rebecca, but she only responded by asking me why I only ordered a cup of coffee, and considering that I promised to enjoy a breakfast with her. "That's what I was telling you. I have something that I just have to get done, and I want to get back to it. I really think my agent's going to love this one," I told her. She was becoming more frustrated by the second, continuing long into my cup of coffee. She had to understand. I was promised that the next quality work I produced would finally be shown at the new expo. I knew the dark piece of psychological consumption would fit the bill, but I apparently was suffering too many distractions. Rebecca stopped talking, taking in all I had said. Due to the vacant stare on her face, I found it hard to tell her if she hesitantly complied or sat flabbergasted. I honestly didn't care which as I kissed her goodbye and rushed out, leaving my freshly refilled cup of coffee steaming on the table in front of a silent and baffled Becky. The walk home quickly turned into a jog, and then a full-out run. The people now were all staring and fucking yelling at me. They were all so loud that I had to cover my ears and try and block out the sounds. The weirdest thing was that when I did, it didn't stop. It didn't even help a little. I was in a full sprint now, sweating profusely and squeezing my hands tightly over my ears. Just when I thought I wouldn't be able to stand it anymore, I found myself fast approaching my apartment building. I flung open the door and ran inside, towards the stairs and my apartment. As I proceeded, the intensity of the sounds and my sweating began to lessen. I reached my door and began to fumble with the keys. I thought about just kicking the fucking thing in, but I knew that I would need the privacy, and a lockable door would likely be vital. I found it, the right key. Gaining entry to my place, I slammed the door behind me, only stopping to lock it before I immediately returned to the project that I had started earlier. I didn't change my clothes or stop to eat. I grabbed my brush from the cup of water on the table, cranked up the radio, and began strategically adding color to the canvas before me. I don't know how much time passed by. I had to get it picture perfect, just right. I remember having to turn on the lights because the apartment grew too dark to see. By the time I decided enough was enough, all of the lights were still illuminated, even though the sun was brightly shining outside, negating the need for electrical lighting. I had to wait for the canvas to be sufficiently dry before I wrapped it and brought it to my agent's office, which is exactly what I did not a moment after I was able to. Although I had to leave it with his assistant, I knew that the work was more than good enough, and that delivery meant I had done my part. I felt so much better on the way home, like a boulder had been lifted off my chest. I remembered as I walked back into my home that I had completely blown off Rebecca. I looked around my studio apartment and finally recognized the mess that I had created. The hunger and fatigue had set in, and the blinking red indicator upon my answering machine told me that I had missed messages. I walked over to discover that I had actually 17 unheard messages. Most of them were from Rebecca, but a couple were even from my parents, whom Becky apparently called so as to recruit help getting a hold of me. I listened to about half before I called her and told her what was going on. Although she told me that she would be there in a matter of minutes, I fell into a deep, restful sleep before she had arrived. I had left the door unlocked in case I did do such a thing. I awoke to Rebecca sitting beside me on the couch where I had fallen asleep. I told her about the painting, the screaming faces, how everything seemed so surreal until I dropped off the painting. She asked me to just, excuse me, you take a drink, getting cotton mouth. She asked me to describe my dream again, but I honestly could barely remember it. She actually remembered more from what I had told her than I did. In the days to come, I went to the doctors and had some tests run. The end result was the diagnosis of too much stress. I was told to take it easy for a while, but that would be difficult. My agent had gotten a hold of me and told me how much he loved my newest work. He said, and I quote, "There's just something captivating about it." He placed my work in a group of others that would be displayed at an exposition created to showcase local artists. Although it was going to be a relatively small event, it was the first time one of my new works would be on display in a moderate amount of time. So I was really excited. Stress aside, I prepared myself for one of the biggest nights of my life. Becky and Arm, I was briefly introduced by my agent at the event. It really wasn't a large gathering, only about 50 or so people, but I couldn't have been happier to see a dream of mine come true. On top of that, there seemed to be an overwhelming interest in my painting in particular. I spent the night answering questions and mingling with genuinely interesting people. As much fun as I was having, I couldn't shake the uneasy feeling I held. Like the thing I had created was staring at me with its glaring eyes. Omnipresent, no matter where I was standing, watching my every move. Still, the night continued on with an individual named Heather Thatcher actually purchasing it from me for $3,000, which for an amateur artist is a pretty big deal. I couldn't believe it. Soon after, I and Rebecca returned to my studio apartment for a little personal celebration and some shut-eye. I don't know why she did it. The night went fine. She didn't say anything off. We spent the night together in my apartment, but while I was sleeping, for some reason, Rebecca quietly snuck out of bed, grabbed the paint thinner from the table in the center of the room, and doused herself in it from head to toe. I awoke just in time to see my beloved set herself ablaze only a few feet before me. I awoke to the heat of flickering and roaring flames and total confusion. At the first moment of clear thought, I threw a blanket over top of her to extinguish the fire, hoping to save her life. I was trying to pull Becky's charred body out of the apartment to safety, to no avail. The fire she had started had engulfed the whole space, blocking our exit. The fire department had shown up to pull me out. They had to pry me away from her. I wouldn't leave her. Why? I just didn't understand why she would do this. The police wanted me to answer some questions, but I demanded to ride in the ambulance with my now barely breathing beloved. While the paramedic worked on her in the back, Becky woke up. She opened her eyes that were encompassed by melted and charred flesh and stared right at me. A tear dripped from my eye as I asked her, why? I didn't actually expect her to respond, but to my surprise, she did. She moved her lips a couple of times. I couldn't hear her. The paramedics were trying to tell me to let her rest, but I had to know what she was saying. I leaned in close so as to hear her whispers. I refused, she whispered to me. You refused? What do you mean? I asked. I understood when she told me how the thing from my painting spoke to her, made her do what she did when she denied its requests. As crazy as as crazy as it sounded, I believed her. Rebecca closed her eyes for the last time. After the funeral, I paid a visit to Heather Thatcher, the woman who purchased the painting. I can't help but feel responsible for the evil that I've unleashed. The husband of the household informed me that his wife, Heather, was dead. She'd electrocuted herself in her bathtub. I wanted to buy the painting back. I would have done anything to raise whatever funds were necessary. But that wasn't going to be possible. There was nothing that I could do to change any of it. The piece was reported stolen, having disappeared just before Heather's suicide. The painting of the smiling dog has gone missing, leaving only death and madness in its wake. And that is the smiling dog. So, sorry I messed up so many times in that. Like I said, voice was starting to get a little bit scratchy, and mouth was getting a little bit dry. Been doing a lot of reading today. But I really hope you guys liked that one. Like I said, it was one of the earlier stories that I wrote, and I only read it once. I'm really, really glad you liked it, Dog Lover. I told you might like this one. You know, just the smiling dog, and you're a dog lover, so I figured it would be a good combination. Sometime next week, probably Friday, this will be re-released in its repurposed version. The reason it won't be out on Wednesday is because Wednesday, the compilation video for Ambivalence Grove comes out, because this weekend, the final part in the trilogy comes out. So try and push it off. So only one video a day. So, but yeah, I figured you might, Fuzzy. Figured you might remember this one. Hey, Devane, how are you? Saw you pop in, but again, I was kind of reading and couldn't really say hi, but I did see you. Welcome to the stream. Thank you very much, Twisted. Very, very much appreciated. Like I said, this was just more of a fun story to write. I wanted to do something on Smile Dog, but not a JPEG. I was like, let's take it back to physical form. Have the guy have a dream about Smile Dog, which is, I believe, in one of the stories or maybe even the main story. But instead of it being because of a picture, it'll cause him to create a picture instead, in the form of a painting, and just kind of see where that takes me. And yeah, so this was kind of born. It's not a traditional Smile Dog story. I know some people that really like the Smile Dog JPEG story might not appreciate this. It's not supposed to be a painting. Like I know that. But in this one, it is. So. Really, really, really happy that you guys liked this one. So cool. Very, very cool. I also have this connection is unstable thing. It's been hanging there for like a half an hour. So I'm glad that we're still stable and you guys can still hear me. So that was another concern of mine while I was reading that. So very cool. Yeah, we're starting to run low though now on stories, at least written by me, that were out on my old channel. I do have a ton from Doughboy still to read, and I'll go ahead and I'll I'll name some of these off. See if you guys might remember any of these. A Devil Named Bendy. Obviously, you guys know Bendy. Doughboy wrote a Bendy story. Coast to Coast, which has the most lines and the most characters of any story that Doughboy's ever written. A Halloween story, not a Halloween Tale, which came out last year. The Hat Man, his Revelations in Tartarus, that 27 video series. It's like a Dante's Inferno thing. I really love that, actually. It's really good. Jeffrey, Doughboy's Jeff the Killer story. Mary Lude, Christmas story. Police Brutality 1 and 2. Polybius, The Escape of Darren Cowill. The Family Part 1 and 2. The Little Black Box. That's Doughboy's Laughing Jack story. I freaking love that one. The McAneel, The Skin Book, The Swamp and the Swamplings, The Christmas Train, The Viaduct, and UVB 76. So I do have a bunch of old Doughboy stories that I still have left to read. But as far as my stories go, there's quite a few, but some of them now have been put into books, like The Ascension Project. There's Something About Me, Netched Reprecht. So those are now, there's more, but those I'm just leaving them in the books as kind of like book exclusives. So some of my old stories won't be making it back out, which in a way has kind of saddened me, because some of them, like The Ascension Project, I absolutely love that story and I would like to narrate it again, but it's kind of in one of the books now, and I'd like to leave that as, hey, if you buy the book, like you'll get this story. It's kind of like a prize. So I don't want to take the prize away. So I just have to write another really cool experiment story at some point. I have written quite a few. Let's go take a look at my story folder here. That was Doughboys and Lost and Found. So, what in here can I still read? ICU. That's my Facebook killer story. What If You Were Me? That's my fishing, Two Buddies Go Fishing story. And What's Eating You? That's my Eyeless Jack story that I wrote. So those are the old ones I've got left to read. Everything I got Buried Secrets. I actually still got to keep writing on that. I'm going to rewrite chapter 2 through chapter 6, the end. I'm just going to keep the first story the same. I'm going to completely change the rest of the series. And a lot of these, like I said, Netched Reprecht, Black Mold, The Ascension Project, The House on Hemlock Hill, Horror in Memoriam. Now, some of those aren't in my the books I have published right now, but like Black Mold, The House on Hemlock Hill, stuff like that. Those are actually going to be in my next book that that I'm actually now working on. I'm now editing, so that won't be rereading those. But then I have my Fresh folder, and Fresh is I wrote a story called 10 Shots In. That's a drinking ritual story. So expect that to come out at some point. Can't mention those. That's Secret Project. Five Nights at Freddy's VR story. So I wrote Two Friends at Freddy's, and then I wrote Suspicious Locations, which obviously they vaguely mention the kids from the first story, so you can tell like those are both kind of connected in the same world. And then this is One Night in VR, Help Needed, which is obviously a play on the Five Nights at Freddy's Help Wanted VR title. And again, this kind of pulls in elements from Two Friends at Freddy's and Suspicious Locations and kind of makes it a trilogy. So FNAF VR is kind of like the end of that trilogy, but then I'm coming out with a bonus night story. So I'm kind of like doing like a Scream 4 thing where I'm taking the trilogy and making it a quadrilogy, but that's going to be out during the 13 days of Halloween. So there'll be 2 more Five Nights at Freddy's stories coming before this year is out. Also wrote, all the 13 days of Halloween. Those are all completely written. Krampus Claus, Evil Comes in Threes. I told you guys last year that I would write the last one. I kind of set up Krampus Claus: A Return to Tradition. The second one, I kind of set it up for a sequel, and I did promise you last year that the following Christmas there would be a sequel, and Krampus Claus: Evil Comes in Threes is written. It's done. It's ready to go. That's actually going to be the Christmas special this year. Let's see. Something Hides in the River Mist. I just finished writing that. That wasn't me. That's a tidbit that I wrote. When a drug almost killed me. That's not a drug overdose story. It's actually not me taking drugs or anything like that, but it is a true story. So it's just like a play on words, but that'll be coming out at some point too. It's a true story about basically when I almost died, but it had nothing to do with like a drug overdose or anything like that. It's not like I wasn't doing anything wrong. We'll put it that way. And then there's You Shouldn't Listen to the Future. That's a story I wrote. I don't know if you guys have ever heard The Other Internet. And when I say it's inspired, You Shouldn't Listen to the Future is inspired by The Other Internet. It's not like I copied it. It's not what I mean. Like, it's inspired by that story the same way the Ambivalence Grove stories are actually inspired by No End House. And it's nothing to do with No End House. It's nothing like No End House. There are elements that are similar. Boyfriend, girlfriend, one gets stuck there, the other one goes looking for them. That kind of stuff is in there. But the setting, the themes, everything's always completely different. This is very, very similar to that. Probably has, less elements in it than even Ambivalence Grove does to No End House. But it is still very much inspired by The Other Internet because I absolutely love that story and just wanted to do something within that same subgenre. Yeah, subgenre, because we're already in a subgenre of horror, so it would be like a subgenre, a subgenre of a subgenre. There's a lot of branches on this tree. So, but yeah, that's what I've got written so far. And obviously, I'm still writing all the time, writing new stories every week. Just wrote a story exclusively for Beautiful Nightmares channel. It's called It Found Me. You won't hear that narrated here. I'm not narrating it. I told her that I was going to give it to her as an exclusive. And so if you guys want to listen to that, that is up on her channel as well. Yeah. So, all right. I've been on for about 52 minutes. I'm going to probably close out the stream here pretty soon. But I'm going to go ahead and read some of these comments. Make sure I didn't miss anything. And if you guys want to throw something in and have want me to answer something, got any questions for me, whatever it is, I love answering comments. I love talking with you guys. How do you have time to do anything? Time management. Recently it has been a little bit easier because work hasn't been as hectic because I can't hire anybody. Nobody wants to work because everybody's still getting money for the stimulus. It's kind of like the worst time ever to be a hiring manager as a job. So that leaves me with some time. I usually, if I do write, it's before, so I begin my shift at 7 basically, but I usually get there at like 6:30. I open up the doors and stuff like that. So if I have 15, 20 minutes while I'm just sitting there, I'll write. I'll write until I actually start at 7 o'clock. And that actually I can pump out quite a bit in 20 minutes or so. And then, when I get home at night, I don't really edit videos or anything. I do a little bit during the week, but it's also spaced out. It doesn't take me very long. Locust Lakes take a ton of time. The Locust Lake stories take a ton of time to piece together because there's just so many voice lines and so many sound effects. I can actually spend the entire week just working on the audio portion of a Locust Lake. And then I'll pump out the video and music and intros, acting and stuff like that in like one day because, I can, but the audio portion of a Locust Lake just takes so long because it's, it's complicated to put those together with so many voice actors and stuff, but it's a lot of fun. But again, even that is, I still have time. It's not like I don't have time. I do still have time. And I do things on the weekends, in a very specific way, very scheduled time management, like I was saying. I'll narrate on Fridays and I'll whip up the tidbits. So I'll piece them together, video, music, and thumbnails, the whole nine. And I'm done for the weekend. So Saturday and Sunday, there's no editing, no narrating, no nothing at all. Monday, I'll take the bigger story, the Saturday story that I just narrated, and I'll piece together the audio lines. Then usually Tuesday, I'll add sound effects. Wednesday, I'll add video and audio. Thursday, I'll take off. Well, when I say audio, I mean music. Thursday, I'll take off, and then Friday, I'll do my acting. So, and then I'll make up the thumbnail and get it uploaded and stuff like that on Friday night. The same night, I make up the tidbits. So it's a lot of computer editing on Fridays. Everything else is very, very much spaced out. So yeah, it's like I said, scheduling, and just using, your free time. That's the thing. You got to do what you love. I don't look at it as work. Like, oh, I'm going to sit down and do more work now. It's like, hey, I get to sit down and work on my hobby. So that's where the fun comes in. I really do enjoy being a horror content creator. It's one of the, one of the biggest achievements, basically in my life. I've always loved horror. So to be able to sit here and create horror and add to the genre it's something I guess I would say is a dream come true, but it's something I never even really dreamed of. Always seemed like something way out of reach, something that would never happen. I'll just be someone who enjoys it, not someone who makes it. So it's very surreal, and it's enjoyable, and it's when it's not work, when it's fun, it's not really effort. It's just fun. So yeah, I have free time. Like I said, if it's not a Locust Lake, I have more free time because a lot of those steps go a lot quicker. Some of them take like maybe 30 minutes. So I have time, like when after work, I'll play VR. I'll jump on my snowboarding game. Actually, ISB, you know that I have some time, because you've seen you're one of the people that comments. You've seen my side channel. So I mean, I do have free time. It's not, as much, but even like the video editing, that's still my free time. Like that's the same thing to me. Like sitting down playing a video game is the same thing to me as sitting down and working on a video, and making horror. That to me is just as fun. So like VR, or I'll sit down, and I really would like to sit down and finish Octopath Traveler, but I'm thinking about that for the past couple of days. So that'll take some time to get through. But again, I still have time to do all that. Downloaded Trials of Mana, and I beat the hell out of that. I downloaded the Friday the 13th game and got to level 147. And I don't know how many of you people have actually played the Friday the 13th game, but it takes a really long time to grind up levels. And I didn't have the game when they had double experience all the time. It was only special events. So, and I had the time to do all that and narrate, keep my channel going, stuff like that. So yeah, it's time management. My very first course, my very first college degree, literally the course was time management. It was my very first course. And it's something that I've used every single day since. So you can get a lot accomplished for sure. But like I said, it helps when you enjoy what you're doing. And have I ever thought about doing Clockwork's story? I mean, possibly. Like I said, I'd have to get a hold of the author for me to feel comfortable reading somebody else's story again, and get that permission in writing, that I can pull up and show, no, I had permission to read this. Little sketchy, a little iffy about that, a little nervous, a little gun shy, because that's how my first channel got taken down. But the really, like, the ones I really, really love, I've done most of them now. Like obviously Pen Pal. I absolutely love that story. It's one of my favorite stories. And I also kind of consider that like a rite of passage for narrators. Like, yeah, you're a narrator, but you're not like a narrator until you've narrated Pen Pal. And I love that story. I put so much effort and care and love into that story. I did it in 6 parts. I did each story over Christmas break. I did each story one day out of the week until I had all 6 stories done. I never reused any video, and I never reused any music. So every music track was different. I never played the same music track twice over the whole 3-hour video. And then when I was done, I put them all together and I uploaded them in one big upload. So I didn't put them up one at a time. It was just one day. Sociopathic Pasta uploads a 3-hour narration of Pen Pal. It's an, absolutely love that story. It took, like I said, a week to make sure I really had it right, had it perfect. Clear narration, no background noise, no mess ups. A lot of love and care with that. 1999. No, I won't read that again. Because the guy who wrote it is very much actively adamant about not people redoing it. But I did put up my old series, which is less of a series and more of a series of true stories of when I was stalked by someone who was claiming to be Mr. Bear. So I did re-put that back up. My true experience with a creepypasta stalker. That's another 3.5-hour narration. And another one would be like Kosciuszko, Texas. That's like a 12-minute long story. But I'd love to read that for my channel. But again, I'd have to get a hold of the author. But again, a lot of my old ones that I wanted to get back up are back up. The Friday the 13th NES series. Like, I won't read Godzilla NES, but I'm so proud to have written Friday the 13th NES. Like, yay. Like, I did that. Makes me very, very happy because, you all know how big of a Jason fan I am. So... yeah, I've learned ISB that if you've got the determination to do something, you can do it. It's one of those things that all parents tell their children. And it's like, it's cliche almost. Like, you can do anything you put your mind to. You can be anything you want to be. It sounds like motivational speaking. It sounds like the same fantasy talk like everything else we tell our kids. But that's one of the real ones. I didn't always, have a place to live. There was, some point in time period of my life where I did not have a home. There was a lot of times where I didn't have a job or I didn't have a vehicle. And I was in a really bad place. So, to be able to pick myself up out of that and, go to college, get a decent job, have a family, place to live. Like, if I can do it, like, anybody can do it. So I'm a big believer in that's something that's not just something your parents say. Like, you really can do anything that you put your mind to. And once you realize that, like, the kind of worry kind of goes away. Like, I can't control everything. I might lose my job. Something bad could happen. Absolutely. But come what may, I know now that I can rely on myself. So it gives me confidence to move forward because I've always got me. So I don't know. That's kind of my stance. But yeah, it's good that your parents tell you that all the time, dog lover. They're right. You can do anything that you want to. If you want it bad enough, anything is possible. It's just, how bad do you want it? All right. Well, we've crossed over the hour mark. I think I'm going to go ahead and end the stream. Kind of gotten away from scary storytelling and into principle philosophy, and don't want to head too much into that territory. Maybe on a stream on my side channel. I could always start up like a sociopathic therapy channel. Kind of like a contradiction in terms, but that's what makes it fun. Your therapist is also a sociopath. By the way, I'm not actually a sociopath. The reason why I call myself sociopath is obviously because of sociopathic pasta. And the reason why I called it sociopathic pasta is because I was taking a lot of fan submissions and writing my own stuff. And my channel was basically like a group effort, like sociology. So I actually got it from that, sociology. But I'm not a sociopath. At least not all the time. Just tendencies. All right. I'm going to go ahead and end the stream. I would go ahead and have the child say goodbye, but she is not out here anymore. And all right. I'm sure we'll all check back in on Sunday for Blood and Beans. I don't know what the weather is going to be for fishing, but it'll either be, morning or maybe afternoon after I get back from the lake. So we'll just have to play it by ear. I will see you guys hopefully tomorrow for the finale of Ambivalence Grove, leaving Ambivalence Grove. Stephanie, obviously, once again, played by Mary P. I'm really, really happy with the way this one turned out. I think you guys are going to enjoy it. And like I said, next week, the whole compilation video comes out. So if you guys are listening on the go or something like that, it's just you find all 3 stories in one spot, one listen. So I will hopefully catch you guys tomorrow. Thank you so much for coming in tonight. Please be safe out there. Have a fantastic Friday night. Thank you so much for stopping in. I absolutely love you guys. I'll catch you next time. Bye-bye.